Hi, I'm Jerry Ford. Welcome to my studio. It's Thursday night. It's time to sew. And what are we going to do tonight? We're going to make fabric postcards. You don't have to use this design. You could actually just use a pretty piece of fabric and just encase it, and on the back of it is an actual postcard. I printed the postcards just from my Microsoft Word. There's a template to do a postcard, and this is one of them. So I just printed it out on a piece of cardstock. What makes this one a little different is most of them have a zigzag along the edge, and the problem I found with that is that it perforates the paper, and this paper can fall out when it's being mailed, and which means it would never get delivered, would it? But you can put any design in the middle or just a pretty piece of fabric, and so I've couched in yarn along the edges so that it would look really finished on the edges. Here's the supplies you need to make this postcard. So first of all, you need a 5x7 frame. I have hooped it with a tearaway stabilizer. Any tearaway will be fine. You need to have a piece of Peltex or Timtex or whatever, a little bit less than 4 inches by 6 inches, because a typical postcard that's acceptable by the U.S. Postal Service is 4 inches by 6 inches, so you want it just slightly less than that. So I think I took an 1/8 of an inch off the top and the sides. You need a background fabric, okay? A piece of cardstock that has the printed postcard markings, and that'll be the back of the postcard. Okay, you'll need a piece of steam-a-seam or some kind of fusible web. That will be used to adhere the poster board to the back. This was just made out of either cardstock or poster board. Okay, you're going to need to have, well, you pick whatever colors you like, but I'm selecting my flowers to be red and pink. And I have decided to use red in the outer edge, and of course a green for the leaves and black for the lettering, but you pick whatever colors you like. It also helps to have either an adhesive spray like KK2000 or 505 spray, and then oddly enough you need to have some yarn that's going to go around the edge. You need a size 14 needle, embroidery needle, and I'm using an ordinary white bobbin thread, 60 weight bobbin thread for the most part, except for the end I'm going to wind a thread with the same color I'm going to put on the outside. You need to put your design on a jump stick and transfer it to your machine. Okay, so let's get started stitching. So I'll just hoop the stabilizer and let's go. Alright, I've loaded the design into the machine, and there it is. So I'm going to hit set and embroider, and I already have my hoop in the frame is in the machine, and the first thing it's going to stitch out is a placement for the piece of Timtex. Okay, I'm going to stop this because I notice one thing. Couple things. A, it's going very slow. From my last project, I changed the height of the foot. So if you notice, this is way too high. So I'm going to go check it. I'm noticing that flagging going on. So I'm going to hit the settings page, and oh yeah, my embroidery foot height is way off. There, normal 6, and now it's a lot. Oh, it should be a lot better. Okay, the other thing is I've got it at a little bit lower speed. I prefer to stitch around 600 to 700, especially if I have a lot of satin stitches, and this design does. So everything is fixed, so we're good to go, and let's just check this out here. Much better. It's skimming along the top just as I like it. I'm going to zoom in really tight. Notice. See the bad stitching? See that poking up that and over here? That's when that foot was way too high and I was getting a lot of flagging. Here is where I fixed it, and notice now we have nice smooth stitching. Back to this design. So this is the placement for the Timtex or Peltex or whatever. So I have my Peltex, and I'm going to use my KK2000 spray. And I always spray it inside of a trash can, which you can't see right offhand. And I'm spraying the Peltex. Okay, I want this to be inside, just barely inside the line. Okay, stick it down. I'm going to take my background fabric. Again, I'm going to spray it as well. If you can spray your fabric, it helps, because that way you don't make your hoop dirty. And I'm just going to press it down. And it's going to do the second stitch, which is going to be my tack down. Okay, now it's going to proceed to stitch the rest of the design. So I'm going to change the threads. I will come back when the top is stitched. Okay, it is finished stitching out the top part. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out here. I'm going to trim this really close. I'm going to remove any of the little fuzzies and the little tails, thread tails. Okay, I have finished stitching it out and cleaned up all of the little jump stitches on the front. I've trimmed this down to about 1/8 of an inch around there, but we're probably going to do some more trimming. And on the back, I took off a lot of the little icky debris parts. Now I want to cut a piece of 4" by 6" steam seam. I have a little mat that goes underneath here, and you want a nice, fairly hot iron. Well, you want to follow the manufacturer of the steam seams instructions. So I'm just going to put this inside. Okay, and I'm going to, and it's got the paper on there, but if you're not sure, put another piece on there. And I want to adhere the steam seam to the back. That's why it helps to have a little small iron. You could use those clover ones. Any of these will work. Okay, I'm going to peel off the paper. Let it cool completely. Otherwise the paper will stick to it. Now I have my piece of cardstock here, and I want to put this on here so that it's straight, because it's already printed out. And I'm probably going to just, seeing it sticks a little bit. If you've used an inkjet printer, put a piece of tissue paper on the top, because the ink will stick to the bottom of the iron. And then fuse the other side to this. And you want to get this fairly straight. I'm not sure if I did or not, but we'll find out in a minute. Okay, now that's good and stuck. Let it cool completely and put it back on your machine. And the next thing it's going to stitch out is right here. Here's where you want to switch to red bobbin thread, the same color. I'm going to use red thread here, and then it'll stitch the back on here. So let's go ahead and go back to that machine. All right, this next stitch is going to be a tack down for this cardstock that's on the back. So let's go ahead and stitch this. Remember, I've got red thread in my needle and red thread in my bobbin. I'm going to check the back. And yeah, that looks good. And it's fairly centered. It's close enough. It's a little off, but that's all right. You know what I didn't check? Oh, good. I didn't check. I could have put this on upside down. All right. Next is I could trim it away, but I'm just going to leave it for now. Okay, and I'm going to now do the blanket stitch to seal in the edges of the card and the edges of the fabric. Now the reason I chose a blanket stitch is because I'm using the cardstock on the back. If I had selected to seal this in with a satin stitch, it's most likely that it's going to perforate the cardstock and it would fall out. But this is pretty secure. It's not only got the seam on the back to hold that card in, but it's also using very sparing, just a blanket stitch, which will not perforate it away. Okay, it is done stitching on the embroidery machine. Now I'm going to remove this from the hoop, take the stabilizer away, and see now that's stitched down really well. This could be finished. You know, you could take away this edging of the cardboard here, or the cardstock here, and that would be fine. But I'm going to do one step further, and you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. Okay, here's the back of it. So first of all, I want to trim any of these little threads. Okay, and I'm just going to lift that up, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to carefully cut. Instead of pulling away any stabilizer, I'm going to cut very close as I possibly can to it, the stitching. I don't want to cut the stitching. You don't want to cut the stitching. Okay. Okay, could this go like this? Sure could, but I'm not happy with it. There's a couple little things I want to do. For one thing, that's just a little piece of thread. It doesn't quite look finished to me. And this is what I don't like about even the satin stitch ones, because satin stitch ones don't look finished. I'm going to do a little bit more cleanup right here. Get anything out. Don't cut this outer stitching. And then we're going to go to the regular sewing machine, because how I'm going to finish this off so that it's neat along the edges, that I'm going to simply do a simple zigzag, couching in this yarn along the edge, and that will seal any of the edges on the side so that it'll look completely finished. Okay. All right, for some extra measure, I've got these fabric markers, and I'm just going to color the edges. Doesn't have to be full coverage, just a little bit. You use a red Sharpie too. Almost. Especially the corners. Get the corners fairly well. Those are hard to cover. Okay. That's just a little insurance policy. You don't have to do that. All right, now I'm going to take my yarn. I've set up my sewing machine now with regular red thread in my bobbin, red thread in my needle. I am using a regular zigzag, and I'm making it very tiny. I want to be able to just couch these on the edges, so I am going to probably start right here. I'm putting the open toe foot on. Let's see, I want to literally, okay, I want to be able to have the left swing of the zigzag right here and just catch the edge. Just inside the blanket stitch there, and then the outside is going to catch the edge of the yarn. So I'm going to just hold it here and just down. Okay, and I'm just going to take a few stitches to see if I'm catching it. Yep, that's good enough. I don't have to go all the way over the yarn. It just has to catch into the yarn somewhere. And if you don't get it if you don't get it the first pass, that's fine. You can come back. I'm going to go a little bit beyond. Stop on the outside and pivot. Needle up. Let's see. Just right here. There we go. I didn't get it at all. If you miss, like I just did, I'm going to back tack. There. It gives me another opportunity to come get it, and just keep pushing that into the stitching. You're just catching the yarn to that outer stitch of the blanket stitch. Do an extra couple stitches here at the end, stop on the outside, pivot, and come on and get it. Oop, there we go. Some more yarn. This is interesting, huh? I like this. You have a little spot that I missed, and I'll come back and fix that. I'm not going to stop now. Okay, I'm getting near the end, so I'm going to just clip the tails close. I'm just going to clip this, well, I'm going to stitch near the end. I'm going to overlap that stitch probably right near till the end. You could go around twice if you want it extra thick. I don't. That's a good place for that. Stock there. Okay. And I think I'm going to use these tweezers just to hold this till I get there to the end. And I'll trim any off. Okay, let's see, I missed, here's the spot I missed right here. I'm just going to come back over here and just stitch it. I think I got it all. All right, it is finished. So I will catch it. And now here's another spot I missed, but I will fix those. Here's where I missed right here. There's nothing saying you can't take a little bit wider zigzag, which at 2.5 it really did good at catching the other side. Okay. Just checking to make sure I got it all, and I did. All right. Clip off any little threads. And this, I would just simply go ahead and mail it. Okay, so here's the finished product. So it's ready to go into the mail. And look how cute. And there, you don't have to print that. You could just do a plain one and draw in your own lines. That would be the simpler way. And I do like how this turned out. This turned out really nice. And it's ready to mail. Just remember, this can be mailed as is. You don't have to put it in an envelope. It is a legal postcard. You're probably going to need to spend more. I think normally a postcard's, what, 35 cents? I don't know. I haven't mailed in a long time. But you have to pay a little bit extra, and I think it's like 80 cents to mail a postcard that they have to not put through the machines. This has to be hand stamped. So all done. I hope you like it. So that's all I have for you guys. So if you would like a copy of this design, you're welcome to email me at waltzquilt@yahoo.com, and I'll send you a copy of the PES design of both this one, and I will send you 2 other files. One that has the intro, the 4x6 to seal things down. Then you can put your own design on there. And the third file will be a blank in order to seal in the edges. And so I will send those 3 to you. But send me an email request at waltzquilt@yahoo.com. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. Okay, happy sewing. Bye.